I wanted to ask you, I mean, we kind of just were looking at the pulse chart and just discussing prices and everything. Is there, I'll let you take it whatever direction you would want to, or if you want to pull any charts up that you find interesting right now. But I'm interested in, what do you think the probability is that we are just seeing a double bottom here? I mean, we've been in the range of a double bottom here for some time. And I guess even more so, what we're interested in is the timeline of this. I know I heard Hans was on with our buddy Crypto 7, I think, the other day, and he was really, really honing in on that like October timeframe for a good turnaround. I think it was, or maybe November, basically the fall. I don't know. I'm just curious what you think here in terms of a turnaround, and if you want to speak to the bigger market, like the ETH closing in on BTC, we finally seen BTC like pull back healthily here. We got the Mount Gox stuff going on. We got Germany doing God knows what, all this stuff. And we finally is like, are we going to see ETH close the gap and then pull up the alts? So if you want to start maybe with ETH, I'd love to hear your thoughts on all this stuff, but whatever direction you want to
Yeah, I
take
think the BTC Germany dumping thing is a good thing. I really do, because it's showing like Bitcoin's resilience in the face of all that. So in like a 4 hour, you can see that there is a good bid coming in here on Bitcoin. Oh, let's go daily. Yeah, there's a good bid coming in here, and like prices have been pretty stable, made a higher low even on the wick here, and then it's continued to climb. And look, it popped up today to 59,500 and then sold off. But like this is typical of like you clear out the leverage positions up here that are short, and then it resets the chart a little bit, and then you get some sellers that follow through, but then it's not enough to take it to new lows. So this seems good to me for Bitcoin to try to post up here and create some sort of a structure and break out. And I think I've seen DIY investing talking about wick offer distribution schematic up in these levels that basically has this like it looks something like this, and then it comes back down, and then it basically breaks out and goes from here. So it's within this range at the top, but there's two types of distributions, and this would be like an upside distribution. So like more of like a reaccumulation at a key level, and the key level takes us all the way back here. So we're just kind of trying to flip these levels of support right now on Bitcoin. And I don't know if you guys remember, like the last time I was on here, I had this drawing. Let me refresh this because I'm pretty sure that drawing is still on here from our actual stream together. Here it is, the blue line, the infamous blue line. So I drew this back in I must have been February probably like February or March. We switched on to a weekly, but this was kind of what I was thinking would happen. We'd get this retest of 30K has been the level to retest, because remember this was the level to come back to, and we never did. Right. And now it's a big question. And so then like what we'd have to look to is like the stochastic for a bull cross here on Bitcoin, and we're getting that cross right now. And these crosses happen about every 6 months, and when they happen, that results in these big momentum swings for Bitcoin. So like here. Now here we are almost 6 months later again, but we put in a fake out one here, and it was kind of good though. I think that let me say this about the fake out, like it's good to see some some pause in the market, because it was so, remember you guys were talking earlier in the show about left translated, and like this time sideways has given us less of a chance of that being true, and now we get to fart around hopefully for a little bit longer. And I mean obviously this blue line isn't going to play out exactly, but the point was that sideways action, even in such a huge range like this, isn't a bad thing. And I think what we're really looking at is a retest of like 44 to 46K, something like this. So I don't really think necessarily we'll go break the ETF breakout levels here, but I think that we could. I'm kind of between a rock and a hard place. Either Bitcoin's gonna go up here and break out and kind of like consolidate one more time and start to go higher into the end of the year, or it'll chop and break down one more leg. It's like to do something different this time. And what I mean by that is like when we went back here to 25K, this was the play, was this kind of like test of support. And so this is kind of where we're at now, right? So we're at that where it feels a lot like this is what's about to happen, is we're just going to go sideways for like 6 to 12 weeks and then just kind of grind up and break out. But it would be so poetic if it tricked everybody, broke down to that 40K level, and then we reverse from there. So I think that's kind of the timeline. It'd be end of the year and then into early next year for BTC to start to move. You know, usually September leading into October is good for Bitcoin. So
Hmm.
I'd look at October, not just for Bitcoin, but also for the Pulse ecosystem and for ETH as well. ETH might get it earlier. You know, we got to pay attention to that ETH ETF S1 when that comes out. That might change this fractal, might make it come sooner, right? So definitely some stuff at play here. And I'm going to pull up ETH BTC.
I really thought people would be front running that ETH ETF. I mean, you remember even just the false posts on Twitter that were made when we thought Bitcoin was going to happen, and they said no, not yet, and then it sold right back down. But just people trying to front run it, and we're not seeing that with ETH this time. I don't quite understand why people aren't trying to front run that ETF, but you know, maybe you have some insight to that.
It's interesting. I think like I would just look. I can only look at the data really, and then the ETH supply is like super low on exchanges right now. So there's definitely a shortage.
Yeah,
and maybe that front running, what that looked like was what we got from. Sorry, I'm on the ETH BTC. Let me go back to ETH here. Was this pump on the weekly here where we just kind of went straight up for 5 weeks. And so that sucked up all the supply. And that was like Richard and Justin Sun and those guys. And then it took like very small amount of capital to do this in the following weeks after this sell off. So this was like by the way, it's storming here. So if you lose me, that's what happened. But okay. This is like
we're supposed to get that tonight, I think, but I haven't seen any yet. So yeah.
So yeah, this both, you know, all these weeks was just like letting supply come from off the market and come back into the liquidity pools or back into the exchange so that somebody could come in and snipe it back up. So I mean, this looks like really strong and healthy to me. This looks like it's like, if anything, it's playing possum. You know, everybody wants a better price, but you know, it's not eventually like there's just no coins left, and that's reflected in these exchange balances. If I can get them up here, yeah. So
you know,
like
I think
lowest
also
level since 2015. It's crazy.
Wow. And also, I think ETH held up so well in the bear market. I mean, it held up well, reflective to BTC in the bear market too. And then coupled with what you just said, there's, you know, huge run-ups that we had also. Yeah, that it possibly already saw the bullishness, I guess.
Yeah, so I think I honestly think that's what this was here. And that's what, you know, it's reflected in the ETH BTC chart a little bit here. We get these massive green candles. It's you got to wonder, like, are all the other like layer 2s and layer 1s, like are they still relying on ETH for liquidity, or is that meta kind of changing and evolving a little bit? So it's like, are we less, as the industry as a whole, is it less reliant now on ETH liquidity, or are we right, and does the whole market really still rely heavily on the billions of dollars of ETH liquidity to fall back on? And I just you know, I wonder how much money is in a lot of these other networks, because in Pulse Chain, you know, there's only like $100 million in there, like total, for all of us to fight over.
Right.
And you know, how many of these other chains are in the same situation? I know a lot of other chains have a lot more money on them than the Pulse Chain bridge. But yeah, it's interesting. Like I said, I think Bitcoin and ETH both look ripe. They look great. And time frame wise, there's a couple like things like we talked about already, just August and potentially getting the S1 early, and then October is what I'm really looking at.